At the class reunion, my girlfriend lost a game of truth or dare. She chose dare. She said she'd call the person she regretted losing most in her life. I heard the voice on the other end of the line. She asked if I got divorced now. Could you give me a home? The man's voice rang out, steady and sure. You've always had a special place in my heart. The moment he finished, the entire room fell silent. Everyone expected me to flip the table in rage. But instead, I calmly slid the ring off my finger and said without emotion, "We're not even married yet. Breaking up now isn't too late. I'm giving you back to him." Before he could respond, I turned and walked away. On my way out, I called my parents in New York. "I've agreed to come home and get married." My voice was steady and calm. My mother said joyfully, "That's wonderful. Ethan, you've finally come to your senses. You're the only heir to Pierce Group. If it weren't for these past years, when you insisted on going out to gain more experience, you would have married and taken over the family business long ago. Your father and I chose the right person ages ago. We're just waiting for you to say yes." Hearing the comforting tones of my parents, a pang of guilt stirred in my chest. My voice softened unconsciously. "I'll follow whatever arrangements you've made." "Perfect, perfect. So we'll hold the wedding on January 19th, is that all right? When will you be back? Do you need to meet your fiancé beforehand? Let me arrange for you two to meet first." It seemed my mother was ready to chatter on endlessly with enthusiasm, which made my head start to ache. I didn't care who I was marrying, and I had no interest either. So I cut her off. "I want to return to the Pierce family soon to share the burden with you both. Marriage is just a formality anyway. No need to meet. Just arrange the wedding. I'll be back the day before the ceremony." The words had barely left my mouth when someone pushed open the bedroom door from outside. Hearing the noise, I instinctively turned my head and saw Maya Reed walking in with furrowed brows. "What wedding?" Faced with her suspicious expression, I hung up casually and made up an excuse. Said it was a friend getting married. Asked me to be a groomsman. Hearing that, Maya's expression finally softened. She didn't ask anything more, just set her phone on the table. Then turned and walked into the bathroom. A moment later, the sound of running water echoed. The phone on the table started ringing. Hearing the continuous ringtone, I hesitated for a moment, then picked up her phone. As soon as I unlocked the screen, a text from someone saved as "few years. Do you still remember what you said back then? Are you really still planning to marry Ethan Pierce?" Reading that line, my heart felt like it was being squeezed. My hand froze for a beat. Then I slowly scrolled up. Next, a message she'd sent more than 10 minutes earlier appeared before my eyes. "Few years, 33 days until your 28th birthday. Do you remember what you promised me back then?" I placed the phone back where I found it. Leaned back against the sofa. Countless memories flooded my mind. When I was 18, my aunt returned to the States to get married. I came back with her and enrolled at Yale University to fully enjoy college life. And for safety reasons, I never told anyone about my family background. Senior year, at the freshman welcome ceremony, to help out my roommate, I stepped in temporarily to accompany someone on piano. I was carrying my instrument down from the stage, head lowered, when I saw Maya Reed. She was wearing a white dress, holding a bouquet of flowers, waiting by the door. Her eyes sparkled as she looked at me. Smiling, she asked if we could be friends. I've always been drawn to beauty, so I agreed immediately. After that, we texted every day, and sometimes ran into each other at various places. 3 months after we met, Maya confessed her feelings first. It was my first time falling for someone. Love at first sight. I had no reason to say no. And so we started dating. From 21 to 28, we'd been together like that. Over those 7 years, my family kept urging me to return for an arranged marriage. After turning them down multiple times, I'd also tested the waters with her several times. But every time I brought up marriage, Maya would recoil like a crab thrown into boiling water, immediately dodging the subject, never bringing it up again. At first, I thought she just wasn't ready for marriage. But after it happened so many times, I realized something was off. Until a gathering half a month ago, when the alcohol loosened tongues. I heard the truth. It turned out the person in Maya's heart had always been her childhood sweetheart, Dylan Carter. Too bad it was one-sided. Dylan only saw her as a friend. And the reason she'd approached me was because the first night they met, Dylan had been with someone else. And the way I looked playing piano on stage bore some resemblance to the shadow in her heart. To soothe the disappointment in her chest, and to spite Dylan, she chose me. Over the following years, Dylan cycled through dozens of short-lived relationships. Every time she heard he'd broken up, Maya wanted to go find him. But before she could even speak, Dylan already had someone new. The sorrow in her heart only grew deeper. And so it went in circles. 7 years passed. We still hadn't broken up. And Maya had never given up hope that Dylan would turn around, waiting for that drunken promise. Years ago, Dylan had said while drunk, "Maya, wait until I'm 28. If we're both still unmarried by then, let's give it a try." That's why every year she asked him that same question. And this year, she'd finally made it to Dylan's 28th birthday. I scrolled through the messages on Maya's phone. A bitter smile crossed my lips. 33 days until Dylan's 28th birthday. And the day I'd chosen to break up, go home, and get married. Seeing her walk out of the bathroom, I stood up, turned off the light, and lay back down on the bed. I don't know how much time passed. In the pitch-dark room, the sound of extremely light footsteps echoed. A phone glowing faintly was placed on the nightstand. Someone lay down behind me. Then came another long stretch of silence. Until by my ear, I heard soft, steady breathing. I opened my eyes, reached for her phone, and opened the chat interface from earlier. Just 4 words added. "I won't forget." Such a simple response. But I could imagine how clear-headed Maya must have been when typing those words. Probably biting her lip lightly, eyes glued to the screen, carefully typing out a long paragraph, then deleting it, weighing every single word. In her heart, afraid her feelings would be too easy to read, yet afraid they wouldn't be understood at all. That kind of cautious, meticulous approach only appeared when facing Dylan. Thinking about this, a bitter smile tugged at the corner of my mouth. Maya kept that promise of his 28th birthday locked in her heart. Staying up all night waiting for Dylan to agree to marry her. Even with my eyes closed, I couldn't fall asleep. As soon as dawn broke, soft sounds reached my ears. I opened my eyes on cue. Get off work a bit early today. Maya was applying hand cream, while looking at me with suspicion. What's going on? I stayed silent for a moment, then slowly said, "Today is your birthday. Did you forget?" Maya's body froze. Then she nodded slightly. For over half a month now, Maya had been constantly preoccupied with that 28th birthday promise with Dylan. She had no mental space to think about anything else. Not even her own birthday. Thinking about how I'd spent the past 2 months carefully preparing a surprise, only for it to be completely wasted. My heart twisted into knots. Maya didn't notice the change in my expression. Just said a few words. "Let's keep it simple then. No need to make it elaborate like other years." In previous years, I'd always poured my heart into organizing birthday parties for her, just hoping she'd be happy. But she'd never paid attention to my efforts. Hearing what she said, my voice carried a hint of self-mockery. "The party's already been prepared. Everyone's already agreed to come. Can't cancel it now. I started planning this birthday party 3 months ago. Back then, I still didn't know there was someone else in her heart. If I'd known earlier, I wouldn't have bothered." Hearing my explanation, Maya said nothing more, just grabbed her phone and left the bedroom. Before turning away, I caught a glimpse of her brows furrowing slightly. After arriving at the office, I went to the department head's office to submit my resignation. By the time I walked out, seeing the form in my hands, the entire office erupted. "Ethan, are you really quitting? Why so sudden? Have you found a new job yet? That's pretty decisive. Don't tell me you're going back to inherit a billion-dollar fortune." Hearing everyone's concern, I set down what I was holding, smiled gently and said, "I'm going home to get married." My coworkers nodded knowingly. Only my close friend who'd always been tight with me came closer to ask a few questions. "Ethan, So your girlfriend finally agreed to get married. Why the sudden change of heart? I didn't feel like explaining further. So I smoothly changed the subject. Thanks for everyone's help over the years. Tonight, dinner's on me. After work, I spent 2 hours at dinner with my coworkers from the past 4 years. By the time I arrived at the hotel, it was already 8 o'clock. I rushed to the private room door, just about to push it open, when the conversation inside made me freeze. It's freezing outside. Who's Maya going to pick up? Who else but Dylan Carter? I was standing close enough to hear everything clearly. Dylan said he was coming back today, so she excitedly ran off to pick him up. The conversation continued. Really? No way. Maya must be over the moon. Today's Maya's 28th birthday. And in just over a month, Dylan will turn 28 too. Now that he's coming back, don't tell me he's actually planning to keep his promise to her. Oh, and by the way, I heard Dylan's single again. Sounds like it's probably true. He really came back for her. But if those two actually get together, what about Ethan? How many years has Maya been with him? 7 years, and he doesn't even know who Dylan Carter is. Still loves Maya with everything he's got. What else can be done? Who told Maya to be so obsessed with Dylan? If Dylan really agrees to keep his promise, Ethan's definitely getting dumped. Can only blame his bad luck. After all, he doesn't have any real backing. If they have to break up, it'll be easy to handle. Say what you want, but over the years he's treated us and Maya with nothing but kindness. But we're Maya's best friends. Of course we have to stand by Maya when it comes time for the actual breakup. Let's not make it hard for Maya. We should step up and give him a car and a house on her behalf. Consider it a breakup settlement. I stood there quietly, listening to half of it, without any reaction. Maybe because I'd already mentally prepared myself to leave. I didn't feel as devastated as I had half a month ago. Instead, I found it somewhat amusing. Maya wanted to break up with me, but she needed her best friends to handle the arrangements. So what the hell had I been doing for the past 7 years? Too bad this time, I'd be leaving first. I stood outside the door. Just then, a few servers pushed carts of wine over. I quickly stepped back a few paces. The moment the door opened, the discussion inside immediately stopped. I acted as if I hadn't heard anything. Walked in with a smile and greeted everyone. We chatted for a while. Then Maya led in an unfamiliar man, pushing open the door once again. Looking at him, I could see he bore a few similarities to me. I calmly exchanged a few pleasantries. Maya led him around the private room, finally stopping in front of me, introducing him as her childhood friend. After the introduction, Dylan politely extended his hand. Seeing his gesture of goodwill, I reached out my hand too. The moment our hands touched, Maya hesitated, then continued. This is my regular friend, Ethan Pierce. When she said those words, Maya had braced herself for my anger. But what happened next was beyond her expectations. I showed no reaction whatsoever. Just looked up at her, long and deep. Then withdrew my hand. I stepped back 2 paces, keeping my distance from the two of them. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly. A polite smile. Nice to meet you, Dylan. I'm Maya Reed's regular friend. After the introductions, the private room became lively again. Dylan had an outgoing personality. Could talk to anyone. Wine glass in hand, he made his way around the party. He pulled a group of people into drinking games. At the height of the fun, his hands were busy holding cards. And someone had to feed him a few pieces of watermelon. Without thinking, Maya took her own fork, speared a piece, and fed it to him. Dylan didn't think twice about it either. Leaned over and ate a few bites. Then picked up his own glass and downed half a glass of red wine. I sat a few meters away, watching Maya clutch that glass tightly, not letting go. Drinking from it continuously without stopping. And every spot where she placed her lips matched exactly where Dylan had just drunk from. By the time she finished drinking, she was getting tipsy. But the classic birthday rituals couldn't be skipped. Everyone sang happy birthday, while making her stand up to blow out the candles and make a wish. The lively room suddenly fell completely quiet. I stood up and pushed the cake over. Stuck the candles on the cake. Seeing the number 28 on the candles, Maya rubbed her temples, as if trying to shake off her dizziness. Her eyes still held a trace of panic, sweeping around the private room. Then she held up one finger. For this year's birthday. I don't want to make a wish. I'd rather ask a question instead. As she spoke, she looked straight at Dylan. That gaze, though unfocused, burned intensely. Aimed directly at him. Dylan, you're almost 28 too. I want to ask you something. Do you have a girlfriend right now? The moment those words left her mouth, everyone around us froze, looking at each other. Under the probing gazes from all directions, Dylan adjusted his posture slightly. Then answered. Not at the moment. After a brief moment of silence, someone suddenly let out a delighted, "Oh." The entire room exploded. A few drunk friends immediately stood up, pushing the tipsy Maya to sing and dance. Watching the chaos unfold before my eyes, I sat perfectly still, calmly playing the role of a regular friend, completely oblivious. It wasn't until dawn that the birthday party finally ended. After everyone left, I helped Maya into the car. She was still immersed in the joy from earlier, collapsing into my arms, mumbling countless confessions. Dylan, don't leave, stay with me, okay? Why can everyone else have you but not me? Dylan, do you know how much I love you? I've waited for you so many years, so many years. The driver in the front seat heard everything the whole way, and smirked the entire drive. When we got out of the car, seeing me supporting a drunk woman, he couldn't resist teasing. Dylan, your girlfriend really loves you. I just smiled at the driver. My tone even. She really does love Dylan. But I'm not Dylan. After a night of being completely wasted, she woke up the next morning. Maya remembered what happened last night. She grabbed me and immediately started explaining. Ethan, last night as soon as I got to the party, everyone forced me to drink so much. I might have said a lot of nonsense. It was all drunken rambling, nothing true. Don't take it to heart. I hadn't expected her to still remember last night. Nor had I expected her to come up with such a clumsy excuse. But I remained calm and rational, playing along with Maya's performance. Nodding slightly. It's fine. I understand. Somehow, seeing my expressionless, unruffled face, remembering my reaction when she'd introduced me to Dylan yesterday, Maya suddenly felt a flicker of panic. Thinking it over, she still felt something was wrong. Quickly changing the subject. Last night I was so busy drinking with everyone, I forgot about you. Ethan, are you mad? Let's go on a date after work today. I answered softly. I'm not mad. I have something this afternoon, can't make it. Seeing me refuse so directly, Maya became even more insistent on making it up to me. I couldn't stop her, so I agreed. That evening, I changed clothes and was getting ready to go out, when I suddenly received a text from Quinn Hayes. Ethan, you didn't tell your girlfriend about quitting your job. She just came looking for you. Seems pretty pissed. I hadn't even finished reading the message when Maya's call came through. Looking at the flashing screen, something contemplative flickered in my eyes. After hesitating, I finally answered. Her angry voice burst through the line. Your coworker told me you quit your job to go get married. I was still thinking about what excuse to give when Maya's cold voice continued, accusatory and relentless. I already told you, I'm not ready to get married right now. So she thought I was pressuring her into marriage. No wonder she was so furious. That's when I finally reacted, patiently explaining a few things. I was just joking around with my coworkers. They probably took it seriously. I quit because I've been tired lately. Want to take some time off. Hearing this, the voice in my ear finally returned to normal. Don't joke like that anymore. I lowered my voice, then heard Maya ask where I was. Did I need her to come over? I was about to give her the address, when I suddenly heard a very soft laugh. Dylan's distinctive, all right, sound, echoing in my head for a moment. And then my original words changed to, no need. The call was quickly cut off. Looking at the screen fading to black, a self-mocking smile appeared at the corner of my mouth. If she really wanted to come find me, why hang up so quickly? Just asking out of obligation. And I actually thought she meant it. I hailed a car to the restaurant we'd agreed on. The server heard my name and led me up to the restaurant on the top floor. As soon as I pushed open the private room door, I saw a table full of dishes, but no one in sight. Seeing my confused expression, the server politely explained, "Ms. Reed called 10 minutes ago to order. Said you should eat first. She has something urgent. Might be running a bit late." Thinking back to the phone call earlier, understanding dawned on my face. That urgent matter was probably meeting Dylan. Actually, it wasn't even really a lie. After all, from her perspective, as long as she could be near the person in her heart, even the smallest thing became urgent. I didn't dwell on it. Walked straight into the private room. The server enthusiastically opened the silverware for me, introducing each dish in detail. Looking at the table full of seafood, I narrowed my eyes slightly. During my years in Europe, I'd never gotten used to Western food. Ate so much seafood I was sick of it. Even after years back in the States, I still hadn't adjusted. If this had been before, eating with her, seeing these dishes, I would have forced myself to accommodate her preferences. But now I didn't want to keep compromising. I waved for the server to clear everything away. The server hesitated, but still said honestly, "Mr. Pierce, Ms. Reed already paid for this meal. It was very expensive. Are you sure you won't eat it? If we clear it, the restaurant won't refund the money." I raised an eyebrow, pulled a card from my pocket and handed it over. "I know. Clear everything away. Order whatever you want. Charge it to this card. Don't worry, I can afford it." By the time I finished eating, Maya still hadn't shown up. I didn't feel like waiting anymore. Paid the bill and headed home. Halfway there, several texts came through. "Ethan, can you stay out tonight? Dylan suddenly came back to the country. His old place isn't cleaned up yet, can't stay there. Lots of broken fixtures too. He has stomach problems. Can't be without someone to look after him. I want to let him stay over for one night. Is that okay?" On one hand, taking care of Dylan. On the other, afraid he'd discover our relationship. How amusing. This time I wasn't in the mood to play along with her anymore. Asked her straight out, "Isn't he your friend? Why do we have to hide our relationship? And how much longer are you planning to keep hiding it?" It took forever to get a response after I sent the message. Maya didn't explain anything, just sent back a date, January 18th. If this were before, I honestly wouldn't have known why she chose that day. But now I understood. The 18th was Dylan's birthday. If that day, Dylan kept his promise and agreed to be with her, I was afraid she wouldn't hesitate to break up with me. If Dylan didn't agree that day, then she'd obediently come back and propose marriage to me, using a tentative tone to speak her heart. If rejected, she'd still have me, her official boyfriend, as a safety net. Could always claim it was just a joke. Whether advancing or retreating, she had a perfect plan either way. "I really have to admire you, Maya Reed. Too bad. I don't want to keep being the replacement in your love life anymore." Without replying, I just turned off my phone. Then called a cab to a hotel. Had a few drinks before bed. I slept until late afternoon before waking up. Wanted to check the time. As soon as I powered on, dozens of new messages appeared. Most were from Maya. A small portion from her best friends. "Ethan, where are you? Not answering calls. Not replying to texts either. If you're throwing a tantrum, don't scare people like this. Maya's been looking for you like crazy all night." Looking at those accusatory messages, I let out a cold laugh. Just because I turned off my phone to sleep, I was scaring people. Besides, everyone knew Dylan was the person Maya cared about most. Did she actually care whether I lived or died? Just as I thought that, Maya's call came through. Her voice on the phone wasn't pleasant either. "Ethan, Dylan only stayed over one night. Why are you so upset about it? Even if you're unhappy, you shouldn't take it out on me like this." I didn't bother explaining further. Just casually made up an excuse. "I'm not upset at all. Phone died, that's all." If this were before, Maya probably would have believed me. But today, for some reason, she became suspicious. Asked me in return, "Then why is it that before I could always reach you, only last night your phone was off?" Hearing her interrogate me, I froze. Many old memories flashed through my mind. One midnight years ago, Maya suddenly had stomach pain. Her secretary accidentally called my number. After hearing, I immediately got up and brought medicine over. Last year when she traveled abroad for work. 7 or 8 hour time difference. Maya didn't remember what time it was for me. Called at 3 or 4 in the morning asking about a document. I forced myself awake through the drowsiness and turned on my camera to help her find it. 3 months ago, I'd had my appendix removed. Just got off the operating table. Anesthesia hadn't even worn off yet. Her text already arrived. I still had the nurse bring medicine to her personally. Every single thing was proof of my deep love for her. Too bad no matter how much I sacrificed, she never noticed. Thinking about this, my voice couldn't help but carry some self-mockery. Just afraid that when you needed me, I wouldn't be there. Last night you probably didn't need me. Hearing the implication in my tone. Something deep inside Maya trembled. 7 years together, I'd always accommodated her in everything. Always listened to her. Never fought or raised my voice. So many things she didn't want to explain. I never pressed her about. Even when I got a little upset sometimes. Just a few coaxing words from her and I'd soften. From daily life to parties and dates. I took care of her in every little way. Searching my conscience, Maya had to admit, I was a nearly perfect boyfriend. Thinking of all the good things I'd done for her. Her tone also softened. I know. Earlier it was because I was too worried, so I spoke harshly. I'm sorry, Ethan. Where are you now? Let me come find you. At that moment, I really didn't want to see her. Just said, no need. Then caught a cab home. As soon as I got back, the housekeeper told me Maya had just gone out. Didn't need to guess. Dylan must have called her away again. Smelling the lingering scent of men's cologne in the air. I didn't ask where she'd gone. Just coldly told the housekeeper to open the windows for fresh air. For the next 2 weeks, I didn't see Maya again. It was like I'd forgotten I even had a girlfriend. Not one call, not one text. Through Dylan's social media, I still knew exactly where she was. But I didn't want to interrogate her whereabouts. Or dig deeper into what she was thinking. As far as I was concerned, every day we spent together now was just counting down the days. I no longer had the energy to waste on someone. I'd have to leave sooner or later anyway. New Year's Eve, it started snowing. My mood was pretty good. Sat by the floor-to-ceiling window watching movies all evening. At midnight, fireworks exploded outside the window. I started feeling tired. Sat in the rocking chair scrolling through social media. Suddenly, the room that had been quiet all evening echoed with footsteps. I gripped the armrest and stood up. Saw Maya stumbling in completely drunk. She wobbled inside, threw the pile of shopping bags in her hands onto the sofa. Then started opening them one by one in front of me, saying, "These are 2 new scarves I just bought. It's snowing so hard outside. Ethan, aren't you cold? Ethan, this is a Rolex watch. I bought it a few days ago. A New Year's gift for you. Do you like it?" As she spoke, she stuffed all the gifts in her hands onto me. Feeling hot, I pulled off the scarf and threw it on the floor. Seeing that, she grabbed my hand again. "I'm sorry. I've been so busy lately, haven't had time to visit you. Are you mad at me? And that time before, I shouldn't have brushed you off, Ethan. Can you forgive me? We'll have a good life together from now on." As she spoke, Maya tried to kiss me. I couldn't stand the strong smell of alcohol on her. And didn't understand what she was going on about. Had to coax her for ages before getting her into the bedroom. After she fell asleep, I cleaned up the messy bags scattered around the living room. Then grabbed my phone. Lovey-dovey posts on social media kept popping up. But what caught my attention most was Dylan's. He posted a 9-grid photo set. 9 photos. All of him with the same pretty girl in the snow. The caption was interesting too. Met the right person just as the snow fell. Seeing that post, all the doubts in my heart suddenly vanished. No wonder Maya came back drunk. And proactively tried to be affectionate with me. Turned out the person she liked had someone new. That made sense. If it weren't for that, how would she remember an old flame like me? A mocking glint flashed in my eyes. I raised my hand, took off the wristwatch, and tossed it on the table. For the next few days, Maya seemed like a different person. Didn't go anywhere, just stayed home saying she wanted to be with me. I got stomach pain. She obediently stayed by my side cooking porridge for me. I looked at a travel commercial a bit too long. She immediately started planning a trip together after New Year's. Maybe because she was hurt. This time she treated me even more gently than before. But I was no longer moved by her. I quietly watched her play the role of a model girlfriend. Saw her rushing around because of a few words I said. I didn't feel guilty at all. This final period of time she was giving her all. Consider it repaying the debt of the past. Thinking this way, my heart felt even lighter. A few days after the snow, my mom sent me several wedding suit samples. Asked which one I liked. I held my phone looking at each one, zooming in. Carefully examining every detail on the suits. Maybe because I was so focused. When Maya quietly walked up beside me, I had no idea, not until she snatched the phone away, did I turn my head, and saw her face immediately darken as she said, "Groom's suits. Why are you looking at groom's suits?" Before I could blink, she was furious. I quickly explained, "Didn't I tell you before? A friend's getting married. Something went wrong with the wedding suit. Choosing a new one. Asked me to help pick one out." Seeing my expression remained calm, Maya gradually dismissed her suspicions. Handed the phone back to me. Then casually asked me about the wedding date and said, "Let me come with you." Seeing how serious she looked, I smiled slightly, mysteriously. "January 19th. Do you really want to go?" Hearing that date, Maya froze slightly. I stared at her, patiently waiting for an answer. After a long silence, she forced an awkward smile. Replied to me, "Let's see when the time comes. Who knows, in a few days I might start preparing to leave." After that conversation, Maya fell back into a melancholic mood. All day like a lost soul. Carrying heavy thoughts. Using the wedding as an excuse. I stopped hiding things from her. Started packing right in front of her. Since graduating and moving into this riverside apartment, it had been 6 years. My belongings filled the entire place. I only chose things I'd bought myself to put in the suitcase. Besides those, I wasn't taking anything else. After all, going back to New York was my territory. Whatever I needed, I could buy again. Just leave the odds and ends here. Occasionally Maya would snap out of it and rummage through my suitcase. See what was inside, but never once asked me about it. I knew right now all her attention was focused on hoping Dylan would send her a birthday invitation. She didn't even notice I'd secretly removed so many personal belongings. As long as the items from our couple set that I'd once treasured were still sitting there, she wouldn't suspect that my leaving this time was leaving for good. Because in her eyes, my love ran so deep I could sacrifice my life for her. How could she suspect I actually wanted to leave? Carrying a resolute attitude of letting go, I packed very easily. January 18th, the sky was overcast. Looked like rain. Maya got up very early. Sat on the sofa, staring intently at her phone. I got up a bit later. Sat eating breakfast at the dining table. The housekeeper looked at the sky and asked, "Mr. Pierce, looks like it might rain. Should we leave early for the airport?" Maya looked up, unconsciously asked, "What are we going to the airport for?" So I said, "Tomorrow I have to go to a wedding. Earlier you said you'd think about it. Have you decided yet?" I smoothly explained, quietly watching Maya. She was silent for a few seconds before saying, "Too far, I'm not going. Let me take you to the airport instead." This answer didn't surprise me. I finished my last bite of toast, wiped my hands, then went back to the room to get my luggage. Maya had just finished buckling her seatbelt when her phone suddenly rang. Maya hurriedly opened it to look. The next second, in those usually indifferent eyes, joy she couldn't hide appeared. She put down the phone, unbuckled her seatbelt, pushed open the car door. Just as she stepped out, she suddenly remembered what she was supposed to be doing. Quickly bent down to explain to me, "Ethan, something urgent came up at work I have to handle. I'll have the driver take you to the airport." So many years together. From her flustered gaze that couldn't meet mine, I could easily tell she was lying. I didn't call her out, just nodded slightly. While waiting for the driver to arrive, I opened Instagram. Sure enough, I saw Dylan's birthday party photos. The pretty girl from before was no longer by his side. Looked like they'd broken up again. Which also meant Dylan's words from years ago. If by 28 he wasn't married, he'd be with her. Now there was hope again. No wonder she was so happy. When the driver arrived, Maya had already changed into a white evening gown. Looking radiant, she stepped into the sports car beside us. She rolled down the window and waved at me. Asked when I'd be back. This trip, I wouldn't be coming back. I smiled faintly. Didn't answer her. Just waved back. Lucky for me, Maya didn't pay attention. Quickly drove the sports car away. I sat in the passenger seat, watching the sports car fade from view. Only then did I quietly tell the driver to go. It started drizzling, wetting the car windows, blurring the rearview mirror. Couldn't see the surroundings clearly anymore. I didn't want to look anymore either. I closed my eyes, silently said goodbye in my heart, never to see you again. Before boarding, I got a call from my father. His voice came through the line, "Ethan, what time do you arrive? Dad will have the driver pick you up." I wanted to get home sooner too, so I didn't refuse. Didn't sleep well last night. As soon as I boarded, I felt drowsy. On the 2-hour flight, I slept straight through. When we landed in New York, I put on a cap and sunglasses. Just stepped out of the airport doors when someone stopped me. "Mr. Pierce." Ethan Pierce. Hearing this clear voice, I groggily nodded. "Uncle Pierce asked me to pick you up." I squinted at her. Figured she must be the driver. But why was she such a beautiful young woman? As soon as I got in the car, I leaned against the window and went back to sleep. When I woke up, outside the car was an unfamiliar mansion. I asked suspiciously, "Where is this?" "This isn't my house." Seeing my reaction, the beautiful woman smiled softly. "Not yet today. But tomorrow it will be. To be precise, this is the newlywed home." That's when it hit me. That I was getting married tomorrow. I let out a soft hum, opened the car door and stepped out. Slowly walked toward the house. She followed behind. As I admired the scenery in the courtyard, I asked her a question. "Do you know what my fiancé's name is?" She glanced at me as if to scold, but still answered, "Sophie Taylor." I frowned. Why don't I remember New York having any prominent families with the last name Taylor? Maybe because I'd been wandering outside too long. I no longer understood the situation in New York. I consoled myself, then asked a few more important questions. "Where's the wedding venue?" She said, "Clearwater Springs Estate." "What time does the wedding start tomorrow?" 11 in the morning. Cutting it so close. I was very satisfied with this driver's professional competence. Looking at the gate right in front of me, I turned around to get my luggage. "All right then. You can head back. Just pick me up on time tomorrow to get the bride." After speaking, the person in front of me didn't respond, and showed no intention of leaving. I felt somewhat strange, about to ask if there was anything else. From the balcony overhead, my mother's voice suddenly rang out. "Ethan, you're back. Come up and see your wedding suite." I quickly looked up and greeted the family members. Pulled my suitcase to go but it wouldn't budge. Seeing my gesture, my mother waved. "Oh my goodness. Come up together, dear daughter-in-law. Tomorrow's the wedding. Why be shy now?" The driver was my fiancé. This realization made me freeze in place. I became completely alert, took off my cap and sunglasses, lowered my head to look at her. Just happened to meet those bright, smiling eyes. Seeing the shock in my eyes, Sophie Taylor understood the reason. Proactively extended her hand. "Forgot to introduce myself, Mr. Pierce. I'm Sophie Taylor." I awkwardly forced out a smile. Quickly reached out to shake her hand. My voice carried some guilt. "I'm so sorry. Earlier I wasn't fully awake, so I didn't recognize you." "Ethan Pierce." Sophie Taylor smiled, her voice incredibly gentle. "It's fine. We'll have plenty of time to get to know each other from now on." Before entering the banquet hall, Maya bent down to adjust her dress hem, carefully smoothing out every wrinkle. Her phone vibrated a few times. She took it out to look. It was a text from the driver, saying Mr. Pierce had already boarded the plane. After a long hesitation, she still sent a message, telling me to remember, to let her know I arrived safely. Regaining her composure, Maya took a deep breath, and pushed open the door. Maya's gaze locked onto that figure in the center of the hall. The person who never left her thoughts. Her heart beat several times faster. She walked quickly toward him. Passing several people, she heard the guys nearby teasing. What's with all these years? Today you absolutely have to let us meet her. Why all the secrecy? After you make your wish, we'll finally get to see. Hearing the word, wish, she remembered what happened at the birthday party a month ago. Maya's eyes filled with anticipation. That joke from when he was 16. Could it actually be coming true today? For several hours, Maya kept thinking about it. Nervously downed several glasses of wine. When the cake was wheeled out, her hands were even trembling. Her best friends surrounded her, their eyes full of knowing joy. Maya, your dream's about to come true. How do you feel? Maya lowered her head and smiled without speaking. Taylor had originally been watching the drama unfold too. Suddenly remembered something. Put her arm around her shoulders. But if it really happens, what about Ethan Pierce? At Dylan Carter's birthday party. Hearing my name, Maya's smile suddenly faded. A pang of guilt rose in her heart. Her friends saw her expression change. Quickly consoled her, it's fine. Just break up with him now. After all, he's just some ordinary guy. Easy to deal with. If he causes trouble, we'll help you handle it. Maya, just relax. As they went back and forth, Maya took out her phone and typed a few words. Her finger stopped at the send button. Seeing her hesitate indecisively, the others started getting anxious. Grabbed her hand and pressed send. Very quickly after, sent another message. Below appeared a new line of text. Let's break up. The two messages were 3 hours apart. Calculating the time, my plane must have landed by now. Maybe I'd see this message soon. Maya was still lost in thought when they pulled her to the center. As the birthday song echoed throughout the hall, under Maya's expectant gaze, Dylan clasped his hands before his chest. Sincerely made a wish. May my 28th year go smoothly. And may I make wishes with Ivy next year too. Maya's face, still smiling a second before, turned deathly pale the next. Everyone else in the room asked, who's Ivy? Dylan, aren't you going to introduce her to everyone? Amid the cheering, Dylan's face showed a blush. She's my new girlfriend. The words had barely left his mouth when the banquet hall doors were pushed open from outside. A woman in a purple evening gown, with a beautiful face, slowly walked in, smiled and greeted everyone. Hello everyone. I'm Dylan's girlfriend, Ivy Summers. Before everyone's eyes, Dylan smiled and took his new girlfriend's hand, sharing sweet details of their love with friends. Maya sat in the corner, drinking glass after glass with her best friends. The more she drank, the drunker she got. Taylor stumbled to her feet, walked up to Dylan, under everyone's shocked gazes, demanding justice for her best friend. Dylan, have you forgotten your promise to Maya all those years ago? Hearing this, Ivy's face also showed some curiosity. A promise? What promise? Dylan's expression immediately turned extremely ugly. But Taylor was drunk and didn't care at all. The other friends saw this and quickly chimed in. You promised Maya you'd be with her at 28. That's right, we all remember. Are you going back on your word? Ivy's smiling face gradually grew cold. She turned to look deeply at Dylan. It was just drunken talk. How can you take it seriously? Besides, I said it was only if I was still single. But now I have a girlfriend, so how can it count anymore? Dylan didn't even think before denying it outright. Every single word, like a knife stabbing straight into Maya's heart. She clutched her chest with one hand, the pain unbearable. The other hand braced against the sofa as she stood up. Under everyone's watchful eyes, she burst into hysterical laughter. Right, it doesn't count. You have a girlfriend. I have a boyfriend too. A joke will always just be a joke. Those few words made Ivy's expression brighten again. She nodded, took Dylan's hand and walked up to Maya. her face acting as if nothing had happened, saying, "Looks like it really was just a misunderstanding. I heard director Reed already has a boyfriend. Why didn't you bring him today?" Maya's mind was completely blank. But she still forced a smile to meet her gaze and explained. "He went to attend a wedding. Doesn't have time." Hearing this, Ivy nodded knowingly. Only Dylan beside her had a flash of displeasure in his eyes. His voice full of suspicion. "A boyfriend? Who is it? I've been back in the country so long, why haven't I heard you mention him?" Looking at that face, Maya couldn't say another word. Taylor quickly stepped forward to support her, while Han Shin looked at her, her voice carrying mockery. "Ethan Pierce is Maya's boyfriend. He's that gorgeous guy from the birthday party. That's him." Only then did Dylan suddenly remember. That day he'd even heard them say they were just regular friends. That whole scene now seemed wrong somehow. Reflexively asked back, "But that day they both said they were just ordinary friends." A voice rang out. "Probably just a little couple having a fight." "Dylan, you've dated so many people, how can you not understand this?" Just one sentence made Dylan's face flush red and white with anger. He looked up and glanced at Taylor, unable to swallow this insult. "It's precisely because I've seen so much that I thought I should ask more carefully. Since you say he's your boyfriend, then let me call to confirm, and take the opportunity to meet my future brother-in-law." Maya and her best friend's alliance immediately darkened, all thinking at once of that breakup text from earlier. Just looking at their expressions, Dylan knew he'd already won. He immediately pulled out his phone to find my Instagram. Made an audio call. The girls knew what he was about to do. Everyone wanted to rush forward and grab the phone. But Ivy was very proactive. Directly blocked their way. Dylan didn't hesitate anymore. Turned the volume up to maximum. Put it on speaker facing everyone. The room immediately fell dead silent. Only the ringing remained. Maya hid her hands inside her sleeves, clenched them into fists. In her heart, she silently prayed. Praying I wouldn't answer. Praying I hadn't seen that message yet. During that endless minute of ringing, she felt like her heart would leap out of her chest. Just as the call was about to disconnect automatically, the whole group started feeling disappointed. When the call suddenly connected, from the speaker came my gentle voice tinged with surprise. "Dylan, what's up?" Maya's face immediately turned deathly pale. In complete contrast was Dylan's knowing expression. He said, "Nothing much, today's my birthday. I heard you're Maya's boyfriend. Wanted to invite you over to hang out." The phone was silent for a few seconds. Maya was so tense she could barely breathe when I suddenly said, "I'm sorry. I'm in New York right now. I'm afraid I can't make it." Hearing my voice still normal, Maya guessed I probably hadn't seen that message yet. Her heart relaxed slightly, but my words didn't stop there. I smiled meaningfully and continued. "Oh right, Maya and I already broke up. Dylan, don't misunderstand." Dylan was surprised. "Broke up? When did that happen?" Dylan's tone carried surprise, mixed with satisfaction. I continued. "Just now. About 10 minutes ago, I think. I just received her breakup text, haven't had time to respond yet. Dylan, do me a favor and pass along the message." "I agree." At this point, both I and the spectators around all showed expressions of wanting to laugh but not daring to. Dylan's face softened. He suppressed his laughter, coldly glanced at those troublemaking young ladies, said lightly, "All right, I'll pass it along for you. Sorry to have bothered you, Mr. Pierce. I also sent him my regards, happy 28th birthday. And may all lovers end up together. Whether intentional or not." When I sent those wishes, I emphasized each word of 28th birthday, as if wanting everyone to know. I already knew everything about it. But no one in that room dared ask more. Could only watch helplessly as the call disconnected. Just one small scene. The atmosphere in the room immediately turned glacial. Silence stretched for 5 or 6 minutes. Finally Ivy stepped in to break the tension. Raised her glass to toast Maya, temporarily closing the matter. After draining the last drop of wine in her glass, Maya slammed it down hard. Led her friends out of the birthday party. Before stepping out the door, In her daze, she heard Ivy ask, "Dylan, that Ethan Pierce, is he from New York?" Dylan answered, "I heard so." "Why, it's nothing. The Pierce family in New York sounds kind of familiar. Maybe I'm being too sensitive." Maya reached the door. Her best friends immediately pulled her back, led Maya into another private room, taking turns consoling her. "It's fine. Maya, not marrying someone like Dylan is actually good. Otherwise, with all his girlfriends from the past 7 years, you'd need a separate 10 tables just for them at the wedding. A playboy who falls for everyone he meets. Marrying him would definitely cause problems. Better to stay with Ethan Pierce." Right. In what way is Ethan worse than Dylan? Today he's probably just angry, that's why he said those things. Maya, you should go coax him. Explain things a bit more clearly. He loves you so much, he'll definitely understand. Encouraged and supported by them, Maya's depressed mood gradually stabilized. She took out her phone to find me. Racked her brain to compose a message. "Ethan, I just lost a game with everyone. The punishment was to text my boyfriend about breaking up. Then have someone call to see your reaction. Don't take it seriously. How long have you been in New York? Have you checked into the hotel yet? Or are you still busy preparing at the wedding venue? Will you be back tomorrow or the day after? Can I pick you up?" The message was sent ages ago with no response. Maya's eyes were glued to the screen, her heart restless and uneasy. Her friends looked at each other. Immediately ordered a case of beer to encourage her to drink, wanting to help her temporarily distract herself. "Oh come on, it's a wedding. He's probably too busy to step away. Maya, don't overthink it. When Ethan's free, he'll reply. Listen to me, okay? If he's really mad, then tomorrow we'll all go with you to New York and apologize in person." When I received those 2 messages, I was in the fitting room with Sophie trying on wedding dresses. I opened it and saw the first line. Couldn't help but laugh out loud. So even now she could still come up with excuses. Quite the creative mind. Too bad I didn't believe a single word anymore. I could imagine Maya being rejected by Dylan right in front of everyone, losing face and scrambling to salvage the situation. Thinking back to that bizarre phone call, there must have been even better drama at the scene. Right then I suddenly felt regretful that I couldn't witness that scene with my own eyes. Let out a soft sigh. Sophie, who was adjusting the wedding dress, looked up at me. "What's wrong? You don't like this dress? Let me have them bring another one." I waved my hand. Quickly explained, "No need. It's just that because of the wedding, I missed out on a good show and feel a bit regretful." Sophie asked curiously, "What show? Can you tell me about it?" Though I really wanted to share, I also understood clearly that talking about an ex-girlfriend in front of my fiancé probably wasn't very appropriate, so I changed the subject, saying, "It was some old friends throwing a birthday party. Just a small misunderstanding. Nothing major. You just focus on preparing for the wedding." Seeing I didn't want to elaborate, Sophie didn't press further, went out to the living room to get some pastries and brought them in for me. Then said with concern, "You've been busy all afternoon. Must be hungry by now. Eat something to tide you over. Later when we're done, I'll take you out to eat. Whatever you want is fine." I was actually quite hungry, so I asked what she wanted to eat, then made a mental note, and went out to make arrangements. As I ordered food, I was lost in thought. According to the information I just researched, Sophie Taylor was the 3rd daughter of the Taylor Group in New York. 2 years younger than me. Above her was a sister 2 years older, and an eldest sister 5 years older, currently vice president of Taylor Group. She was also raised by the eldest sister from childhood, so her personality was proper and well-mannered, unlike the second sister who was a socialite constantly entangled with men. In recent years, the Taylor and Pierce families had frequent exchanges. My family had also thoroughly investigated her. Only then did they tentatively suggest the arranged marriage. According to what my mother told me, Sophie just looked at my photo once and immediately nodded in agreement. She seemed very satisfied with me. I didn't entirely agree with that assessment. After all, I'd only come back to marry after ending my previous relationship. sincerely wanting to contribute to the Pierce family. From beginning to end, I'd never taken this marriage seriously. Just thought if it works, we'll stay together. If not, we'll divorce. After all, it was just a business marriage. Neither Sophie nor I had any choice. So I didn't think she'd be like my mother said, love at first sight. But after an afternoon of interaction, though I still couldn't say we were perfectly in sync, from the small details, I could still sense that this fiancée was actually quite decent. Her appearance went without saying, naturally outstanding and striking. As for her personality, for now it seemed very gentle and kind. She worked methodically, meticulous and thoughtful, also very understanding and well-mannered. Overall, I was quite satisfied with this future wife who fell from the sky. Beyond satisfaction, there was some pleasant surprise. Seemed like my parents' judgment wasn't bad. After a night of drinking, when Maya woke up, the first thing she did was turn on her phone to see if I'd replied. More than 10 hours had passed. The chat window remained empty. She rubbed her eyes hard several times, then angrily threw her phone at the wall, immediately startling everyone awake. Just seeing that action, everyone sobered up instantly. Taylor reacted first, immediately called her secretary to book the earliest flight to New York, then consoled Maya. Never expected Ethan Pierce would also play these hard-to-get games. Don't worry, Maya, we'll go with you, and coax him back. The others also immediately came to comfort her. Only then did Maya's mood improve slightly. As soon as they left the bar, the whole group rushed to the airport. On the way, Maya gazed at the distant high-rises, feeling somewhat regretful. If she'd known it would end in such disappointment, she should have agreed to go to New York with me yesterday. Thinking it over made her feel even more dejected. Could only console herself that not going was fine too. Last night hearing Dylan say those words, she'd completely given up. More than 10 years of waiting. Countless times wanting to give up. But because of that 28th birthday promise, always kept a glimmer of hope in her heart. Especially after meeting me, she'd almost fallen into a state of split personality, not knowing how to face a boyfriend as devoted as me. Now between the two choices, it was time to make the final decision. She tentatively asked her friends, if I can't coax Ethan today, I'm thinking of proposing to see what happens. What do you guys think? Hearing the word propose, her friends all widened their eyes in shock. Propose? To Ethan Pierce? With his family background, I'm afraid your aunt and uncle won't agree. He's definitely not bad, good looking and good personality too. But I think dating is fine. Marriage though, probably still not quite your match. Though the whole group threw cold water on the idea, Maya didn't hear a single word. She leaned back against her seat, her mind constantly replaying every moment she'd spent with me before. After she turned 25, every few months, I'd hint at marriage, to gauge her feelings. She understood my meaning clearly, knew my family was pressuring me. But because of her own private thoughts, she still pretended not to understand. Now neither of them were young anymore, and she knew I loved her wholeheartedly. She'd also seen through everything and didn't want to miss me anymore. Even though this marriage would be fraught with obstacles, she still wanted to try once. Thinking this, Maya finally made up her mind to propose to me in New York. She sent a message to her assistant, telling him to take that pair of wedding rings that had caused a sensation online some time ago, and bid on them at auction before boarding. The assistant said that pair of rings had already been auctioned off for a sky-high price of $9 billion. Maya was surprised. Just a pair of wedding rings. Yet the price was driven so high. Maya was a bit surprised and asked for the buyer's name. The assistant only replied with one word, Taylor. It was the Taylor family from New York. Remembering that illustrious name in those circles, Maya couldn't help but be impressed. But since she had some connection with the second daughter of the Taylor family, she called to ask. The second daughter of the Taylor family answered, that pair of wedding rings. I'm the one who won the auction. My little sister's getting married today. I'm giving them to the newlyweds as a gift. Maya, you're asking too late. Hearing this information, Maya thought to herself, The third daughter of the Taylor family is also getting married today. What a coincidence that two happy occasions fall on the same day. A flash of surprise crossed Maya's eyes. But she still weighed her words carefully, very politely saying, "I drank too much. So I forgot about the auction. You're too kind, second miss. I didn't expect the third daughter would also be getting married. Please send my congratulations. I wonder which young master is so fortunate to marry into the prestigious Taylor family." Hearing Maya's flattery, a hearty laugh came from the other end, the second Miss Taylor. "My sister married within our circle. A perfect match of equal standing. Very well suited, a match made in heaven." Just hearing those words, Maya immediately thought of me. Ethan's also a Pierce. Could Ethan be attending the very wedding between the Taylor and Pierce families? Does the Pierce family in New York have anyone connected to Ethan? All sorts of strange thoughts appeared in Maya's mind. But as soon as she got out of the car and the cold winter wind hit, all those thoughts vanished completely. She shook her head, raised her hand to her forehead, trying to push all the ridiculous thoughts out of her head. Ethan was just an ordinary guy from a small town. How could he possibly have any connection to the Pierce family? When the plane landed at the capital's airport, Maya immediately called me. At that time I still answered. By my ear was noisy, lively sounds. I spoke with a mocking tone. My voice wasn't pleasant either. What does my ex-girlfriend want, calling on purpose? Just hearing that form of address, Maya immediately remembered yesterday. Her blood pressure also spiked. But she knew now wasn't the time to lose her temper. Could only suppress the fire in her heart. Patiently explaining to me, "Ethan, yesterday's breakup was really just a joke. Can you please believe me?" Before she'd finished, I cut her off. "Doesn't matter. I don't care if it was a game or not. I only believe what I see with my own eyes. You don't need to explain. I'm busy. Don't have time to chat about nonsense with you." After saying that, I didn't care about her reaction. Just hung up directly. Maya's face darkened with anger at my attitude. Taylor quickly pulled her into the car. "Don't argue on the phone anymore. Later when you meet face to face, just say a few sweet words and it'll be fine." The best friends took turns consoling her. The car had just left the underground parking. When the driver asked for the address, the whole group froze, staring blankly at each other. No one knew where the wedding venue was. Taylor was about to have Maya call back to ask, but worried they'd argue again. So she used her own phone to call me. "We're in New York now. Where's the wedding venue?" A few seconds later, a female voice came through the phone. "Just come to Clearwater Springs Estate." Hearing that unfamiliar voice, displeasure flickered in Maya's eyes. She immediately grabbed the phone to ask who it was. But the call had already been disconnected. Seeing this, Taylor had to find some excuses to reassure her. "Ethan, don't you know what kind of person he is? Didn't he just say he was busy? He's the groomsman. Who knows? Maybe he just handed his phone to a friend to hold. You shouldn't be jealous about this." Hearing that, Maya's expression softened slightly. The friends quickly gave the address. As soon as they said, Clearwater Springs Estate, everyone suddenly realized something unusual. At the same time turned to look at each other. Isn't this place New York's famous wealthy neighborhood? Anyone living there just needs to cough once, and the whole elite world would tremble. My friend is holding a wedding in a place like that. Maya's heart also started feeling confused. Before boarding the plane, those thoughts had begun to stir suspiciously. Could it be I'm actually a distant relative of the Pierce family? 10:30. The wedding was about to begin. Guests took their seats one by one. I stood on the rooftop balcony. This wedding was personally planned and decorated by Sophie. She'd truly been so dedicated. But not until today, seeing it with my own eyes, did I realize what my mother said might not have been a lie. In fact, it was rather modest. The union between the Pierce and Taylor families. Logically speaking, all the powerful families in elite circles would send representatives to attend. But calculating carefully, at most it would be around 700 or 800 tables. Why would they need such an expansive venue? Though the sun was shining. After all, it was still winter. Outside was still quite cold. To ensure guests' comfort, They'd arranged who knows how many heaters all around, and used fresh flowers flown in from Europe to create cascading floral platforms in brilliant colors. The gifts for guests at the reception desk were custom-made matching lock keepsakes. Every guest received one. The extravagance and thoughtfulness in these preparations made even me, someone who'd grown up abroad, feel a twinge of heartache at the expense. I smoothed back my wind-tousled hair, about to make a few remarks. Sophie walked closer, her voice full of concern. "Ethan, it's cold out here. Come inside." I nodded at my wife and followed her back into the room. She handed me a cup of hot coffee and said, "Someone just called saying they'd arrived in New York. Asked for the wedding venue location. Are they friends of yours? Do we need to go to the gate to receive them?" I was puzzled. What friends? Confusion crossed my face. I quickly grabbed my phone to check the call log. The moment I saw Taylor's name, my expression immediately turned strange. Taylor called saying they're in New York. Sophie still didn't understand what had happened. Just nodded gently. The corner of my mouth lifted in an enigmatic smile as I told my wife, "No need to receive them. They'll find their way in. There are too many people at the venue." I also noticed on the surrounding hills quite a few cameras secretly filming. I think we should send more people to strengthen security, in case something happens. Sophie didn't think much of it. Nodded in agreement. Before leaving, she handed me the wedding rings. Watching her leave the room, only then did I dare let myself laugh out loud. Maya was coming to my wedding. I couldn't imagine when she saw me standing on that stage how spectacular her expression would be. I held the ring in my hand and opened it. When I saw the pair of rings inside, I froze slightly. This pair of rings I'd seen in a magazine 2 months ago. Even shared it with Maya. Back then I'd still imagined that one day I'd kneel before her to propose. Who would have thought just half a month later I'd know about her and Dylan, the wedding and the rings I'd been longing for. Now I had them both. As for who the bride was, the change was actually good. Until today, with everything that had happened over the past 7 years, I had no nostalgia left, only a sense of relief. At 11 sharp, the wedding officially began. Under the watchful eyes of thousands, the maid of honor brought her to my side. After completing all the preliminary ceremonies, very quickly came the ring exchange. Sophie took the wedding ring, preparing to place it on my finger. Suddenly chaos erupted below the stage. I turned my head to look, and immediately saw Maya. She was pushing through the people blocking her path like a madwoman. Her eyes red as she stared at the stage. Her entire face contorted beyond recognition. Several best friends charged forward behind her, still calling my name incessantly. This sudden disruption drew the complete attention of all the guests. Every gaze kept darting between the stage and below, facing the hostile looks from all directions. I remained completely calm. I tilted my head toward Sophie, saw her looking angry and confused. I quickly explained a few words. "I'm sorry. They're friends from Boston. Can we pause the ceremony for a moment? Give me a few minutes to talk with them." Sophie hesitated, then nodded. I gestured for all the staff to stop. Security had already restrained the troublemakers, preparing to drag them out. Seeing my hand signal, they finally stopped. From beginning to end, Maya's eyes remained locked on me, never leaving for a second. Seeing me in the groom's formal wear, standing calmly before her, she could no longer control her emotions. Grinding her teeth, she demanded, "You said you were attending a friend's wedding. That friend is you." Seeing her so furious, I couldn't help but want to laugh. Generally speaking, when I have a friend, doesn't that phrase usually refer to oneself? Maya was practically choking with rage. She closed her eyes. When she opened them, fury blazed as she said, "Is this why you hid from me to get married?" I smiled. "What do you mean hiding? The marriage between the Pierce and Taylor families has been all over the internet for over a month. Maya, don't you go online." Pierce and Taylor. Maya suddenly remembered something. Abruptly turned her head toward the bride Sophie. This face bore a 50% resemblance to her second sister Claire Taylor. So Maya immediately recognized her. Her pupils dilated, Her lips trembled. Her entire body radiated 4 large words. Unbelievable. The person marrying Sophie was me. So who exactly was I? Taylor behind her, along with several others, also realized the problem. Exclaimed in shock. Ethan Pierce. You're from the Pierce family of New York. I quietly looked at them. Very patiently introduced myself. To be precise, I'm the future heir of the New York Pierce family. The only son of Marcus Pierce and Mrs. Diane Pierce. Sophie Taylor's fiancé. Do any of you have doubts about my identity? This string of lengthy titles left all 6 people completely silent. In Boston, these young ladies could indeed make waves. But this was the capital of the empire, New York. Their status and family background, compared to the Pierce and Taylor families, truly meant nothing. After who knows how long of silence, Maya finally found her voice hoarsely. For something so important to her. Why have you never mentioned it before? I said mockingly. Didn't you also hide many things from me? Like that 28th birthday promise. Just 2 sentences made Maya's face turn deathly pale. She started struggling again, hastily explaining without stopping. I can explain that, Ethan, I never forgot you. But over those 7 years, she'd barely gotten halfway. When Sophie, who'd been silently observing, cut her off. Take them away from here. After instructing the security, she took my hand, very gently negotiating with me. Now isn't the right time to talk. Ethan, after the wedding ends, we'll invite your friend to dinner privately. Don't keep the guests waiting anxiously. I knew with her capabilities. In just these few brief minutes, she must have realized something was off. That's why she stepped in to stop it. When Maya led people charging in, I'd already mentally prepared myself for the possibility the wedding might fall apart. After all, the Taylor family was a prestigious family in New York. The groom being disrupted by an ex-girlfriend right at the wedding. They certainly couldn't endure such humiliation. If things got any messier, canceling the wedding on the spot might even be appropriate. Watching those people being dragged out, I hadn't expected Sophie could make such a decisive decision. At this critical moment, though I'd nodded in agreement, many questions remained in my heart. Now wasn't the right time to ask for clarity. Sophie linked her arm through mine. Both of us returned to center stage. The gentle piano music played again. Amid the resounding blessings throughout the hall, both sides completed the ring exchange ceremony. The moment the bouquet was tossed, flower petals, feathers, and ribbons rained down from above. The brilliant midday sun illuminated her, highlighting her radiant, beautiful face. I turned away, not looking back. Took long strides toward the future and tomorrow. After this grand wedding ended, I felt somewhat exhausted. Thinking back on what happened during the day, I felt it was time to be straightforward with her. Talk things through clearly. I spoke first after some thought. After what happened today, is there anything you want to ask me? Sophie's hand wiping her face paused. She looked at me once, then said gently, if you want to talk, then I'll have something to ask, but if you don't want to, then I don't have anything to ask either. Her soft and accommodating attitude jolted me awake. For the first time I felt like I'd married someone extraordinary. Couldn't help but observe her more carefully. Such a major incident at the wedding. Yet she showed no dissatisfaction. Could still calmly restrain her curiosity. Respecting my rights and freedom. That kind of magnanimity truly impressed me. I couldn't help asking her 2 questions. Aren't you curious what relationship I have with them? Aren't you worried about what happened today, leading to trouble? Sophie sat down on the soft chair nearby, her eyes full of calm curiosity and concern as she said, but those things aren't important. What's important is our wedding ended perfectly. You've become my husband. We'll walk hand in hand through many tomorrows together. As for the past, if you want to share, I'll be happy to listen. If you don't want to talk, I can understand. It's all in the past. Why cling to things that can't be recovered? In that moment, I felt the distance between people, and once again changed my view of Sophie. Just a few words from her moved me. I didn't want to hide anything anymore either. Decided to speak directly. The people who appeared at the wedding today were my ex-girlfriend and her best friends. She and I dated for 7 years. I once wanted to marry her. But there was always someone else in her heart. After finding out, I decided to break up and return to New York. Right when my parents kept urging me about marriage, I casually agreed. Yesterday she and I officially broke up. She didn't know I was from the Pierce family. So she came to the wedding and caused a scene. Hearing this, an indescribable expression appeared on Sophie's face. Breaking up yesterday, getting married today. Isn't that a bit rushed? Maybe it is a bit rushed. But between us, it's just a business marriage. As long as in front of others, we can maintain the image of a harmonious couple. That's enough, isn't it? When saying these words, I wore a very matter-of-fact expression. Seeing the corner of Sophie's mouth curve slightly, she asked playfully, "Don't you care about who you're marrying?" I teased her back. Of course I care. I'm just hoping to inherit Pierce Group soon. Sophie's heart skipped a beat. She looked at me for a long time, then nodded slightly. In the future, we'll probably get along very well. Being dragged hundreds of meters by security in a crowd. Maya had never endured such humiliation in her life. The other best friends weren't doing any better. The group was thrown at the estate gates, facing dozens of security guards driving them away. Truly angry but not daring to say anything. Below the steps were hundreds of people with cameras, unable to photograph this wedding of the century. The reporters stood crowded together. Some sharp-eyed people immediately recognized Maya and called out to rush up and interview her. "Excuse me, were you also invited to attend the wedding of 3rd Miss Taylor and Mr. Pierce? You look quite distressed right now. May I ask what happened inside?" With someone taking the lead, the whole swarm of reporters rushed forward to photograph and interview. Maya's mood was already extremely terrible. Now being photographed in such a wretched state, she immediately exploded. She pushed down the person blocking her path, broke several cameras, then led her group away. That evening, news of Maya assaulting reporters hit the top of entertainment headlines. The Reed Group's reputation plummeted overnight. Bad news piled up. At this point, even if the Reed family threw mountains of money, they couldn't stop Dylan from calling. At this moment, Maya was locked in her hotel room, reeking of alcohol. "Maya, I saw the news saying the person in the alliance marriage with the Taylors is Ethan Pierce. He's from the Pierce family." Maya answered indifferently. "So what?" Receiving that affirmative answer, Dylan's voice carried a trace of excitement. "Just now Ivy told me. The project plan jointly developed by the Reed, Carter, Taylor, and Summers families has been finalized. I heard the final decision-making power for this project lies with New York. You've loved him for so many years. Is there any way you could ask him to help bring this project to us?" Though Maya's mind was foggy, she still maintained the last shred of rationality. She let out a cold laugh. In that laugh full of despair. "Ask him to help. He's already married Sophie." Dylan said. "So what? You two were together for 7 years. Now even if you broke up, he should consider old feelings. Give it a try. Uncle Reed just called asking where you are." His tone was very angry. "If you can handle this project, the old man will be less angry too. Won't hold today's incident against you." Hearing this advice, Maya's heart wavered slightly, but she didn't dare agree rashly. Just gave a vague response. After hanging up, she stumbled up and went to the bathroom to wash her face. Her mind cleared by more than half. A few minutes later, Taylor knocked and came in, pulled her to sit down, also began discussing this project. She leaned back against the sofa, her gaze coldly looking out the window. Her mind in turmoil. This project really was a fat prize. New York, Los Angeles, Hong Kong and Macau were all competing for it. 4 major families in Los Angeles cooperating, just to ensure they could swallow it whole. According to the intelligence gathered, the person in charge of this project, 8 or 9 times out of 10 would be Charlotte Pierce, my aunt. If they could go through her to pave the way, it would truly achieve twice the results with half the effort. After a period of contemplation, Maya still decided to try once. Not just for this project, but also for her own selfish reasons. She still wanted to find an opportunity to see me again. 2 days after the wedding, after getting our marriage certificate, I went directly to Pierce Group headquarters, taking on the role of vice president. To help me adapt quickly, my father assigned me several secretaries and assistants he'd personally groomed. He brought me stacks of reports and documents that I reviewed all day, finally grasping the general internal situation of the group. By the time I came to my senses, it was already dark. Already 8 in the evening. In the entire building, only my office still had lights on. I rubbed my temples, grabbed my phone and went downstairs. Just stepped into the parking garage and saw Sophie waiting beside my car. My wife, I didn't know why she'd come. Walked over and asked directly, "You're not busy today?" Sophie smiled lightly, her voice carrying some helplessness. "Today is our second day of marriage. Technically, I'm still on wedding leave." Hearing that, I remembered this morning leaving the Civil Affairs Bureau, saying I wanted to go to the office. Her face had shown an expression I didn't understand, but now I finally understood what that expression meant. Felt somewhat embarrassed. Explained a bit. First time married, no experience. Forgot about these things. But wedding leave or honeymoon? That's probably what normal couples care about, right? We're just a business marriage alliance. Probably don't need to celebrate. In Sophie's eyes, a barely visible flash of disappointment appeared. But very quickly she adjusted her emotions. Opened the car door, sat in the passenger seat. Then said, "Even if you're busy, that's fine. Not celebrating is okay too. It's just that we're married after all. Inviting the Lord to dinner. Surely Mr. Pierce will agree." Her tone carried a hint of teasing, making me unable to suppress a smile. I happily got in the car. This dinner was at a famous Western restaurant, right at dinner time, and we arrived a bit late. All private rooms were fully booked. I was also hungry. Didn't want to make things more complicated. After checking with Sophie, we sat in a corner by the window in the main dining area. Receiving the menu, Sophie handed it directly to me, then introduced several signature dishes. Following my wife's suggestions, I ordered 4 or 5 dishes I liked, then handed the menu to my wife. But Sophie didn't order anything more. In my impression, the 2 times we'd eaten before, our tastes seemed quite different. Seeing her refuse, I worried she wouldn't be used to the food. Kindly urged a few more times, "Sure you don't want to order more? My taste is a bit unusual. You might not be used to it." Sophie smiled and shook her head. In her eyes looking at me, light sparkled as she said, "We're already married. From now on, we'll eat at the same table every day. Whatever you like, I should try more. And gradually get used to it." I disagreed and countered, "We got married, not sold into slavery. When eating, we still have the right to choose what we like. You don't need to think so much. Whatever it is, you can speak directly. We can discuss it together." Hearing me say these words, Sophie was slightly stunned. She lowered her eyes, her voice carrying some lightness. "Anything can be discussed." I calmly nodded. "Then can we discuss not canceling the honeymoon?" Seeing her serious expression, I thought she wanted to make some request. But instead she said, "Honeymoon." It really surprised me a bit. "You really want to go on a honeymoon?" Sophie quietly looked at me, her gentle face saying, "I've been busy with this wedding for so long. Want to rest for a while. Both families also hope we can have some peace and quiet soon. I think a honeymoon is a great opportunity. What do you think?" Hearing her sincere tone, the reasons I'd prepared all stuck in my throat. To be fair, Sophie was a very good wife. Always respected my opinions. And a honeymoon really didn't matter much to me. I didn't want to over such a small thing. I surrendered to her persistence and agreed. After receiving that affirmative answer, the smile on Sophie's face grew even brighter as she said, "Then wait until you finish arranging your work." I nodded, indulging my wife. "When I have time, I'll arrange it." Maya waited below Pierce Group headquarters all day, before finally seeing me, following me to the restaurant. She also found a spot to sit down, looking for a chance to meet with me privately. But throughout the entire evening I never left my seat, still laughing and talking with Sophie. The scene of us serving each other food pierced deep into her heart. 2 rounds of dishes came to the table. She didn't eat a single bite. Her gaze remained fixed on my gently smiling face. With great difficulty she waited until I stood up to use the restroom. Maya hurriedly followed. Called out to me in the hallway. "Ethan Pierce, why did you agree to marry Sophie?" Hearing that familiar voice, I turned around. A flash of surprise crossed my eyes, then I quickly spoke, "If I remember correctly. We already broke up, didn't we? What does my marriage have to do with you?" My indifferent tone made Maya feel looked down upon. A fire of anger rose in her heart. But the marriage between the Pierce and Taylor families was decided over a month ago. Back then we hadn't broken up yet. You'd already found a backup plan. I crossed my arms and glanced at her. My voice still casual. "I decided to return to New York to marry last month. But what do you have to be angry about? You were able to plan from 7 years ago to wait for Dylan's 28th birthday. Then talk about breaking up. I simply prepared an exit strategy a month in advance for myself. What's wrong with that?" Those few words left Maya speechless. She clenched her fists, wanting to swallow the unwillingness and regret surging in her chest. Still wanted to defend herself. "Things between me and Dylan aren't what you think. I knew he didn't like me. It's just that we'd known each other so many years. And there was a promise. So it became an obsession in my heart. I really did think about living well with you. On the way to New York, I'd also prepared to propose to you. I'd already chosen the wedding rings. Ethan Pierce, can you believe me?" Hearing her say these words, I just found it laughable. Only after being completely rejected by him. "Did you remember me? You dare see me as a backup plan? Too bad I'm already married. Maya, go propose to Dylan. Who knows, maybe he'll agree." My voice was full of undisguised sarcasm. Hearing that, Maya grew even more anguished. She stepped forward, trying to grab my hand. But I pulled away and said bluntly, "The truth is you never liked me. Before, I was blind and couldn't see you clearly. Not until after that birthday party did I understand. Over these 7 years, I got used to having you by my side. I really wanted to marry Maya Reed. At first, I thought even though you were hedging your bets, there was still some genuine feeling. But now hearing these words, I find it disgusting. You resent him for not accepting you. Resent him for treating you like a backup. You probably think waiting over 10 years means your feelings are witnessed by heaven and earth, to the point of moving yourself. So when you resent him, did you ever think, essentially you're no different from Dylan? He wouldn't agree, so he kicked you aside. You couldn't accept it, so you treated me the same way. 2 people, one Dylan, one Maya, you're all the same. Why put on this mistaken identity act for me? Why replay that old script?" In that instant, Maya's face turned deathly pale. Nothing but a sickly pallor remained. I didn't care how she was feeling, and didn't want to be entangled with her anymore. I didn't look at her again. Turned and walked back to the main hall. As the 2 of us passed each other, Maya couldn't help but grab my hand. My patience had reached its limit. I directly shook her hand off, showing her no courtesy whatsoever. Overhead, an old, rotted chandelier suddenly fell with a shocking crash, straight toward my head. In that dangerous moment, Maya instinctively pushed me aside. With a loud bang, the heavy metal chandelier weighing dozens of pounds crashed onto her shoulder. Blood sprayed everywhere. I was pushed away. Just then Sophie rushed to my side. I couldn't help but look back. Saw Maya lying in a spreading pool of blood. She curled up in pain, left hand clutching her bleeding right shoulder. Her face flushed crimson with agony. Servers rushed over hearing the noise, one by one checking the injuries on her body. Sophie frowned and asked me, "Are you hurt?" When I confirmed I was fine, she finally breathed a sigh of relief, helped me away from the scene. I was still in shock, unable to think. Leaning on her, we walked downstairs together, watching the silhouette of the 2 holding hands as they left. Maya lay on the ground biting her lip, unable to hold back, not wanting to make any sound. But her throat kept choking. She desperately closed her eyes. Flickering memories kept returning. All images of me, when she had stomach pain. I never left her side. Called doctors for her every second. When she carelessly bumped into a wall, bruising her arm, I quickly boiled eggs, gently massaging it. My gaze toward her overflowed with tenderness. When she couldn't sleep at night, I suppressed my exhaustion to listen to soft music with her. Even made her medicine to help her sleep. Everything about her while living, I cared deeply about. Now she'd been injured like this, saving me. Yet I just stood there not knowing what to do. Who left first was crystal clear. Maya finally knew for certain. The me now was no longer the one she'd known. No longer saw her as everything. And no longer loved her. Upon getting home, my mood gradually calmed. I lay on the sofa drinking the hot tea brought to me. Remembering the scene just now, my heart still trembled. Was about to say a few words to Sophie, when I turned my head and saw her holding a first aid kit, bending down. My gaze swept over my entire body. Finding no wounds, I looked at her in surprise. Honey, I'm fine. Why'd you bring the first aid kit? Sophie didn't answer, just gently pointed at my ankle. My eyes followed. Only then did I notice. My heel had been cut by a piece of glass. She took a cotton swab dipped in alcohol. Her voice very gentle. This might sting a little. A wound so small I wouldn't have noticed. But seeing her fuss over it, I suddenly felt embarrassed. She placed a bandage over the wound. Gently advised. Wait a bit, let me get something waterproof. For the next 2 days when you shower, be careful. Don't let water get in the wound. And wear slippers when you go out. I'd left home with my aunt since childhood. 4 years back in the States, 6 years at university. Always living far away alone. For the first time I saw someone making such a fuss over a small wound. Feeling both scared and strange. I teased. Honey, no need to overdo it. Who knows, by the time your stuff arrives, the wound will already be healed. Sophie looked up at me. In her gentle gaze, she said, from now on you need to be careful. Remember to wear slippers when you go out. As she spoke, she looked at me with concerned eyes. I'd left my hometown with my aunt since childhood. 4 years back in the country, 6 years at university. Always distant from family affection. This was the first time she made such a fuss. Over a small wound. Between fear and surprise, I wanted to lighten the atmosphere. So I joked that there was no need to suffer like that. Who knows, by the time her stuff arrived, the wound would already be healed. Sophie looked up at me intently. Her face showing a seriousness I'd never seen. You got hurt today. Also because of my carelessness. I can hardly be innocent. As long as it's a wound, it will hurt. I don't want you to have been through such a fright. Only to feel uncomfortable in your body too. That's why I said so many unnecessary words. But being a bit careful won't hurt. Listen to me this once. Whether it was because her voice was so sincere, or because the self-reproach that flashed in her eyes, something stirred in my heart, and kept stirring. I didn't dare look directly into her eyes. Under her brows, I nodded slightly. After Sophie left with the first aid kit, I received a call from Taylor. Ethan Pierce. How can you be so heartless? Maya got hurt so badly trying to save you. You're not even going to look at her. Hearing those baseless accusations, I didn't want to get dirty. Let out a cold laugh. If it weren't for her clinging to me relentlessly, that chandelier wouldn't have fallen on my head. Her getting hurt was simply her own doing. Can't pin that on me too. Taylor said angrily. Regardless. At that dangerous moment she pushed you away. Don't you have any feeling for old times? I also admired Taylor's stubbornness. Her ability to turn black and white upside down. Too lazy to say more useless words. Casually pulled off the bandage. Told a calm lie. I wanted to visit her. But my foot's also injured. Can't go anywhere right now. The call went silent for over 10 seconds. Taylor cleared her throat. Offered a new condition. If you can't come, fine. But you still owe a debt of gratitude. So how about this? I heard in a month. There's a kickoff gala for the Cloud Road project. Send me a few invitations. And we'll call it even. So that was her scheme. I laughed lightly twice. Quickly agreed. After hanging up, I sent my aunt a few messages. Asking for more details about the project. Then asked her to send over some invitations. From then on, wherever I went, my wife was by my side. At first I'd advise my wife to focus on her own business. But every time I was tied down with marriage as the excuse. Gradually I realized that as long as my wife was beside me, I could discuss anything. I got used to having someone close by. Once you're used to it, morning and night together, we quickly grew close. When I had to work overtime late at night, she'd bring her laptop and sit beside me, quietly doing her own work. Occasionally when she had to go out, she always told me exactly where, and clearly stated when she'd return. During downtime she'd take me out, show me many new places, and interesting little things. By the holiday half a month later, the Taylor and Pierce families gathered to have New Year's dinner together. 2 families, over a dozen people sat talking. The unavoidable topic was the newlywed couple. My mother looked at us with a radiant face, sighing about many things. Ethan has that stubborn personality just like his aunt. When he graduated, I suggested he return to New York. But he refused, determined to build a career elsewhere. I had no way to deal with him. Sophie dear, if he treats you poorly, don't be afraid, come tell your mother-in-law. Or tell your father-in-law. We'll definitely help you. Teach this ill-mannered brat a lesson, ha ha ha. My mother said with a laugh. My mother in front of so many people complained about me. I felt a bit indignant. Was about to speak up in my defense, when my wife stopped me, peeled a tangerine and put it in my hand. Smiled and said, Mom, you're being too harsh on your son. He's not stubborn at all. I think he's very independent. Has strong principles. His future. He'll definitely shoulder the responsibility of continuing to develop Pierce Group. And I need to learn more from him. Can't let myself become a burden to him. As soon as she finished, the Taylor family began praising me in turn. Couldn't stop blessing us either. Their voices full of joy. As long as you two get along, that's all that matters. We elders just want our children and grandchildren to be happy. If you could give us a little one soon, we'd be even happier. The adults heard this and started teasing along. My ears and cheeks immediately flushed red. Sophie noticed my expression change, quickly found an excuse to pull me out to the garden. A winter breeze blew across my face. The flush on my cheeks gradually faded. Sophie smiled softly. She proactively changed the subject. You're going to that party tomorrow too, right? I nodded. Yes. Maya's invitation came through my hands. I had to be there to keep an eye on her and see what she was really planning. My wife also wanted to go and said, So do you have any extra invitations? Give me one. Hearing that, I couldn't help but look at her in surprise. This project really is valuable. But haven't you and your eldest sister been busy in Montana lately? It's such a critical time. Yet you still want to go to the party with me. Sophie understood I was joking. She blinked, replied that she had no interest in the project. Just that the holiday was free. Wanted to go with me for fun. I nodded in understanding. Remembered I only had one invitation left. So I pulled her downstairs to find my aunt. The project introduction party was held at the largest hotel in New York. 7 in the evening. The person in charge stepped onto the stage. Announced the party officially began. The Pierce family's car got stuck in traffic. Didn't arrive until half an hour later. Just pushed open the door. I was immediately surrounded by a group of people waiting. All sensitive to news. Seeing so many people, I didn't want to wade into these murky waters. So I pulled Sophie to avoid the crowd and go inside. Actually, neither of us came for the project. So we just leisurely strolled around the venue, tasting food while sipping wine. On the second floor, Maya held a glass of champagne. Leaning against the railing, just glanced down and saw me whispering with Sophie. Over the past month she'd thought a lot. Knew I'd completely given up on her. I was from the Pierce family. And married Sophie. Whichever family it was, she couldn't afford to offend. So all this time she'd been forcing herself to let go. Accept the truth. But no matter how much effort she'd put into psychological preparation, seeing us appear intimate before her eyes, her heart still inevitably felt suffocated. Her expression also quickly darkened. Dylan, standing beside her, also followed her gaze. As soon as he saw me, his eyes lit up. Dragged Ivy downstairs. Taylor also pulled Maya along to follow. 4 people cut through the crowd to reach me. Only Ivy had met Sophie before, so she proactively greeted us. "Third Miss, long time no see. I heard you recently got married. Congratulations on your marriage." Though Sophie didn't like those two, she still maintained courtesy in a place like this. Nodded slightly in acknowledgement. "Thank you." The atmosphere fell silent again. Seeing this, Ivy found it inappropriate to say more, so she signaled Dylan with her eyes. He quickly stepped forward, waving at my wife and me, saying in a familiar tone, "Mr. Pierce, do you remember me? We met over 2 months ago." Faced with his enthusiasm, I just smiled faintly. "Dylan, it's been a while." Hearing me speak, only then did Maya look up. Just as I cast a cold glance her way, she forced out an awkward smile. "Long time no see. I heard you got hurt that day. Are you better now?" I replied in a cold voice. "Thanks to you, I'm quite recovered." My tone, full of implication, made Maya's heart tremble. Her face showed guilt. She instinctively wanted to explain, but before she could open her mouth, Sophie cut her off. "My husband and I came with his aunt to the party. Didn't expect to run into everyone here. You all flew to New York during the holidays. Is something up?" Hearing her say that, Taylor elbowed Ivy, signaling her to seize the opportunity. Ivy understood and said, "Our families are also somewhat interested in the Cloud Road project, so we wanted to come take a look. I heard Mr. Pierce's aunt is the project manager. I wonder if Third Miss could, for old time's sake, help introduce us a bit." Sophie didn't answer right away, but looked up at me. She was asking for my opinion. We exchanged glances. I slowly spoke. "Sophie and I would love to help, but as everyone can see, my aunt is too busy to break away. I'm afraid it's not convenient." The 3 looked at each other. All understood this was a refusal, but didn't want to offend us either, so made a few polite remarks and took their leave. Only Maya remained standing, staring at me without saying a word. I didn't want to pay attention to her, so I pulled Sophie to leave, but she followed behind us like a lost soul. From the main hall up to the 2nd floor, then out to the garden. Seeing no one else around, Sophie finally stopped, turned back and looked coldly at Maya. "Miss Reed, you've been following us. Is there something you want to say?" Only then did Maya snap to attention, realizing her behavior was inappropriate. She quickly apologized. "I'm sorry. I drank too much and got confused. Went the wrong way." Hearing that forced excuse, Sophie laughed coldly a few times, her voice icy. "Being confused for a moment is fine, but don't stay confused forever. As for old feelings, the Taylor family and the Reed family have no connection whatsoever. There are no old feelings at all." The implication in those words made Maya's heart sink like falling into an abyss. She knew with the Taylor family's capabilities, if Sophie just said a few words, the Reed family could disappear from high society any day. Maya didn't dare gamble with her family, could only grit her teeth and swallow her anger. Turned back toward the main hall. Hadn't even reached the entrance when she heard chaos inside. Taylor's voice rang out very clearly. "Director Pierce, your nephew also knows us. For Buddha's sake, if not the monks, you won't even drink a toast we offer." Though unclear what had happened, just hearing that, I knew there was trouble. Rushed inside immediately. Just pushed through the crowd to the center. Before I could get out, "I'm sorry, Director Pierce." I saw Charlotte Pierce holding her phone calling security. In an instant, the entire venue fell silent. All the other guests watched with satisfied expressions. Those 4 looked deathly pale. Charlotte Pierce's face was cold as ice, leaving them no dignity. In front of everyone, my aunt spoke. "Today is the Cloud Road Project kickoff party. Not a place for backdoor dealings. You've all received invitations. Please listen